So what do you get when you get two people together? One's an actor, producer, maybe a director, and the other one is completely out of their depth, but lovable. Nope, not our podcast, because this week we're talking movies. We're talking Barbarian, starring Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, and Justin Long. Written and directed by Zach Kreger. Hey, come get your baby.
Shit, I've been living in this place for 15 years and she ain't never come in this motherfucker. Ah! Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? We're going to be talking about Barbarian, the new release out right now in 2022. It's kind of scary as fuck, even though we've moved out of our hot ghouls of Halloween. For some reason, we're doing another horror movie. I feel like this podcast is going down a certain type of rabbit hole. Scott, take us away.
All right, you might want to turn me down on the headphones here, because all I got to say is good job, Zach Kreger. Good fucking job.
Was that a slow clap or
it was a good clap? I was saying blue earns. Blue earns.
Boo earns. Boo earns.
I was saying boo earns.
I apologize. We're gonna. Well, at least I am. I'm gonna spoil the shit out of this movie.
What? No, try not to do that. Hold on. Because this whole fucking movie, really, in my opinion, is a one-trick pony. Once you know the fucking tricks, you don't need the pony anymore. So let's not do that.
I'm not gonna do spoiler. Like, I'm gonna tell you the whole fucking plot. I'm gonna tell you, in terms of spoiling this, you got to go in without watching a fucking trailer. You got to go in with every preconceived notion you have of a fucking horror movie. Because then this shit just turns it upside down. Because it literally starts, the first half an hour of this movie is something completely different than the second half an hour of the movie, completely different to the fucking end of this movie.
So it's literally all the half an hours are different.
Yeah, like literally, like the first half an hour is high tension, maybe haunted house film. The second half is fucking, I think I'm watching a remake of The Evil Dead, right? You're thinking Justin Long's the new Bruce Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third, it's just like everything wraps up nicely, but you're like, holy fuck. Like, he took you on a ride. And that's the thing with that I appreciate as well, is like these like new voices coming out, like new directors coming out, and also like you can tell they're fans of the genre, where, you know, they can take every preconceived notion you have, use it, and technically be using it against you, because once you think something's about to happen and it flips and it's something completely different, you're like, what the fuck?
Gotcha, bitch.
Right? And it just engrosses you more into the film.
Did you watch this in the theater or did you watch it at home?
I watched it at home.
Did you watch it with one of your family members or by yourself?
It was broken apart. My two youngest watched the first half an hour of the film with me, and then it was bedtime. And then my wife came in.
That's nice. So just get them scared enough with no conclusion or whether the monster's under their bed or
anything. Oh, it didn't even get
to
it. It didn't even get to the monster part, right? But and then the last half of the film was my wife, and that's like the ass end of the Justin Long stuff. So she was like, "What the fuck are you watching?"
Did she enjoy it or no?
No. Well, I can't spoil it. Like in terms of the scene.
Well, you could say, yes, my wife liked it. That is
no.
Yes, you were spoiling whether she liked it or not, but I'm sure we're okay.
No. In terms of like the scene that she started coming in on, she had some, you know, thoughts about what my choices in like life were gonna be in the future. Wait, what about yourself? Did you enjoy this? Like, this seems completely up your alley because it's like an art house horror film.
Yeah, and so I did enjoy large components of this. I do think the third act gets a bit ridiculous. I don't love the third act. I think that I would have gone in a different direction. I basically I wouldn't have given this film a conclusion and would have left it in the kind of vein of like, still out there, man, still out there, right? That kind of cliffhanger.
But
What I
they
do,
did leave that though.
what I mean is, I would have not even have had like, you know where the ending goes, and I would have just got rid of a lot of that, right? So again, without being able to spoil it, again, you need to watch it. As I said at the top of the show, because of all the twists and turns, which are good for the most part. And you're right, they take your, what you think about horror, what you think about slasher, what you think about thriller, and you think you're going in a direction, and then you're not. And that's great. Like I do think it keeps the audience off balance. But again, that third act falls apart. And once you know, I don't know if this film has any real rewatchability, because once the doors are all open and you know what's going on, I mean, there might still be some jump scares in there, which this has many and is very good with. I don't think it's super rewatchable. It's got great cinematography. Its use of like black space and claustrophobia, moving between, like, actually where you see the actor in the frame and the POV and flickering light, POV and flashlight, like it's super tense. Especially that first section is super tense. What I also like is, so one of the things that happens in horror that we all roll our eyes at is, character goes and does something and you're like, why would you do that? You would never do that in life. And for the most part in this film, characters act like normal human fucking beings. Like that famous line of like, open thing, nope, not doing that. And she does not do that thing for a period of time. So I think it's great. I think that it would have been cool to watch it in the theater. I think I would have fucking cried like a baby seeing it in the theater, though. It would have scared the shit out of me. The ability to watch it at home also allowed me to do a hand over my face and look through the fingers. So I don't know if I could have actually handled. I think the tension in the theater would have been ratcheted up to fucking 11, right?
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit.
That's the thing that I thought he did really well, because like there is a lot of tension, and he created a lot of tension with like elongating these scenes in, right? Because you kept on thinking, like, especially how you're saying with the how they did like this, I'm just gonna call it the strobe light effect, where it would be like flashing light and then like something's coming closer, something's not there, kind of thing. Like it would just seem like you would see one thing and then you would wait thinking, okay, they just showed that, now it's going to be like the jump scare or the reveal or whatever. But no, it would just go kind of more to black, and then just bring it more, and you're like, and then the score's like ramping up too, and you're like, fuck, when is it gonna, like,
and
you're
then
just
nothing would
waiting.
happen, and then sometimes nothing would happen, like an entire day would end, and you're like, okay, so like she's fine or they're fine or whatever, and then
yeah, because the way they would cut it too,
like,
it would just be like, yeah, the way they would cut it too is just all of a sudden it's like kind of like a flashback, and you're like, what the fuck, like go back to where they were, I want to see what's going on. But yeah, I'll give them, I do think there's a lot of rewatchability in this film, because it is enjoyable and it is well crafted. Now I think they did leave stuff open in terms of you can make sequels of this. You can go in, like you can make a direct sequel of this, or you can go prequel side, right? Like
I think prequel would be a better direction to go. I hope they don't make a sequel of this. I think that would really take all the things that I don't like and just make a whole film out of them.
But yeah, like if they go prequel, because even like if you see my background when like this section of the movie happens, right? Like even though it's subtle and stuff, like I thought that was some of like the scariest shit, is like fucking how naive people were in technically the 80s. Right? Because
I don't know if it was the 80s that looked more like the 70s, but sure.
No, because if you go timeline wise, there's no way that guy was like 100 years old.
The 70s are not that fucking far away, buddy. Jesus.
But I'm talking about how he looked in his age. He looked like he was already in his like late 30s to mid 40s.
Okay. Sure. Okay. And
fuck you. But yeah, like just watching that kind of thing, like that would be fucking amazing to watch too.
I can't. So in my notes, it said that Zach Krieger, the writer director, he has a role in the film, and I can't remember who he played in the film. Like, because there isn't a ton of people in this movie.
No, he could have just been one of the asshole cops.
I was gonna, yeah. Maybe he was one of those. So even that, like, even the way, because again, you're like, well, why don't you call the police? She calls the police. We show up. Police do not do it. The police did exactly what police would do, and that's the infuriating part, right? You're like, fuck, come on. Like, yeah, it definitely hit a lot of the good social tropes that are going on, or not social tropes, social conversations going on right now, and not in a hit you over the head kind of way, right? I'm trying to hit myself over the head here.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad for, like, I think this is his third feature, but I don't know any of his other work. Like,
I thought this was his first written and directed.
Sure. But I mean, I think he directed. Did he direct two before, or did he write two before?
I think he might have written. I apologize if I'm
again. That's because
his
body of work is like kind of like it's not anything I knew when I looked at it, right? So
yeah, no, I agree. And even this film, like this film was just literally from what I read. He read a book about sorry, what was it called? The Gift of Fear. And it was just like a section of the book. It's just, I guess, encourages women to trust their intuition when obviously confronted. So he decided to just write like a writing exercise, and he was literally crafting a 30-minute short. And that's, from what I can tell, that's the beginning of this movie, is this 30-minute short. And then he was just like, fuck it, I want to expand. And we got to what fucking Barbarian ended up being.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 40 minutes. So it's like, again, it's the appropriate length for all the things that need to happen in it. I mean, I think you could trim it down to 80, but you would take out the end that you seem to like and I don't seem to like. So it's the appropriate length for what it needed to be. It was no longer than it needed to be. I mean, it's a sleeper.
I'll just say, like, in terms of like stuff I like too, like your quote that you used in the beginning, like watching that scene and then watching it like fucking play out and how that extended, like you're like, fuck, you don't really see that very often.
Oh yeah, and this film, when it gets graphic,
like it gets fucking graphic.
Like it goes from like, okay, so this is where we cut away. Oh, we're not going to cut away from that, are we? We're going to see all the blood and guts and brain, and oh, that's fantastic. And Kris is going to put his hands over his face, and 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's what I appreciated too, because there isn't like there aren't many in terms of kills, but yeah, like you can tell like they took their time with it to, make each one fucking memorable.
Yeah, because like you said, there's not a lot, so the ones that do happen are like,
exactly. And good for him too, because I think this was what, a $4.5 million budget, and it's 10 times its fucking budget.
I've got that it's so far done 43 million. That's box office.
Yeah, and
it's it's doing very well on the streaming services and stuff. So the money's coming in on this, which again, it's always nice to have hit it out of the park, right? Because then production company, I think it's crazy. So they went to A24 and Neon, both of which I could see this as one of their titles, and they got turned down. Like, I actually thought this was an A24 film when I watched it, until I went and actually started doing my notes, because it has that A24 kind of vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But hey, not everything can be A24. So
what did you think of the casting?
I loved it. Like the lead,
Georgina Campbell.
Yeah, like I don't know. I can't remember much that she was in that I've watched.
I've got King Arthur, The Legend of the Sword. She's done tons of TV. She's a
Wait,
British
Legend,
actor.
is that the Guy
Guy
Ritchie
Ritchie
one?
one. Yeah.
Who's she playing that?
I don't know. I think she plays Tess as well in that, which I think is ironic. Don't you think?
And isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Am I supposed to know who Tess is and King
No,
Arthur, Legend of the
well,
Sword?
because her character is called Tess in this, and then I used an Alanis Morissette reference.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man. Come on.
I just thought, I'm like, is she like the new Hector? That one actor who every role he plays is Hector.
Is the same character name?
Yeah. But
yeah, and then you got Bill Skarsgård, which everybody knows from like It.
Yeah.
And he's in The Devil all the time. And he does such a good job keeping you off balance. You don't know which way that character is going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's his famous line? Like, do I look like a monster?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you did play It. Like, you played Pennywise. So yes, you do kind of look like a monster.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, like that first half an hour, like I like, it was such slow tension and every little choice that was made, right? And that they emphasized, like it just built, and like him too, it's like just that awkward scene with the wine, and then he's like just stumbling over his words and just like, do you want, like, I didn't open it, but do you want some? I'll open it so you can see me open it. And like, just like, why the fuck does he want her to drink this wine so bad?
Yeah. I also love the casting of Justin Long, because I don't think I've ever seen him play this kind of character. He's a great character actor, but he usually plays like the oddball, goofball. Like, I mean, he was great playing the male porn star in Zack and Mira Make a Porno.
I can't keep my hands off him. I'm so
you've
sorry.
had one too many
You know what?
Cosmos,
Although he
Mike.
does most of the eating in the sack, if you know what I mean. In the sack and of the sack.
And then to see that turned on its head, like basically they're like, yeah, Justin Long is playing himself almost, right? The actor. And then where that goes in the car, right? That whole conversation. And then in the bar when he's talking to his friend. And it's like that duality, right? Like we think celebrities are a certain way because they play certain characters, but the reality is they're actually these fucking awful people. And
Well,
again,
his monologue was fucking amazing. When just before your scene, when he was like, I'm a good guy, but maybe I did a bad thing.
yeah,
Or am I a bad guy? Like, and he's just like trying to go through his own duality and trying to come to terms like, do I deserve what's happening to me, kind of thing, right? Like it was amazing writing and diet, like that they did on it. But yeah, like originally that wasn't even Zach Kreger approached Zac Efron, and that character
they realize
was,
there's going to be too many Zacks in the movie because it's Zach Krieger, Zach Cooperstein is the DOP, and then Zac Efron, and they're like, there can never be three Zacks all in one place.
no, like Zac Efron passed on it, but the
Yeah,
original
that was
role.
a joke, Scott. And
I know, but I'm saying, but the original joke, it was a totally different character too. Like his name was still AJ, but he was written more of like a Hollywood, like just like a
himbo
dimwit
kind of guy.
Yeah. So
like,
and then,
what's his name there? Who now got blacklisted because he did the whole cannibal rapey Instagram post there.
Oh, Army Hammer.
Yeah, like a guy like that.
Sure. I don't want to talk about it. but yeah, so, and then going with Justin Long, like kind of rewriting it and literally doing what you're doing, playing Justin Long off his head, right? People have this, and I think it's what's smart, like especially with the casting, like people have such preconceived notions with all these people and what they're gonna see. Because literally, like I said, I'm like, I thought he was gonna be like the new Ash, right? Like he's now gonna be like a male final girl.
Yeah.
And then seeing his whole story go through, you're like, fuck this guy. Like you're happy when it happens. Like when his story comes, when his story comes to the conclusion, you're happy.
I mean, everybody's loving this film. The critics give it a 92%, which I mean, totally makes sense. Right down, it's stylistic, right down to the poster that I'm looking at. You know, the red with the girl at the top of the. I love the poster. I think the poster's great. I love that minimalism. It's got a 70% from audience. I'm actually surprised that that's not a little bit higher. If you want horror, like, I mean, I don't know what else you would want watching this movie unless you watched it thinking it's going to be something else. But like, for the genre piece that it is, I think it gets top marks.
Yeah, I'll say like the writer director Krieger described this movie perfectly as in its visual presentation. It's like it's a Fincher movie on the top floor, it's a fucking Raimi movie under the house.
Oh, cool. Yes, actually that and yeah, it's got that Fincher like kind of dark and grittiness to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and extreme close-ups on inanimate objects that you're like, okay, you can emphasize fucking locking a door 20 times.
The DOP, like I said, the DOP, Zach Cooperstein, he did The Climb, and then there's a black and white film that he did that he won some awards for called The Eyes of Mother, which I think I'm going to check out now because it looks, I mean, I'm getting ready to possibly do a black and white film myself, so I've got to go into that world and see, you know, when it works and when it doesn't. But yeah, again, so he's done tons of shorts and he's done, you know, features that you've never heard of, like other than, you know, even Justin Long, like Justin Long hasn't done any big stuff recently. Like kind of the biggest actor, like currently right now is Bill Skarsgård. So I think they got
an executive. That's why he's an executive producer on this. Like, fine, true. Fuck, I'll do it.
Which I'm sure he's happy with whatever points he's getting.
Yeah.
With that 43 million at the box office so far. I mean, I think that if you get to watch this in the theater, if you still have that option, do that.
Yeah.
I know it's. No, I'm not talking to you. I'm actually talking to our audience right now.
No, but I'm saying it's still in theaters where we are. Like in our neighborhood, it's still in theaters. So I'm assuming it's still in theaters everywhere else too.
Yes, because we have a global audience and everything revolves around Kitchener-Waterloo and Canada. So
and Richard Gere.
And Richard Gere is here. I don't have much more to say. I do think, like I said, so if you have a chance to watch it in the theater, watch it in the theater. If you're gonna watch it at home, put your fucking phone down, turn the lights off, like get yourself in the right mood, and you will be well rewarded if you want to poop your pants and maybe throw up a little bit in your mouth. So I'm gonna finish with my quote from Scott Tobias from The Reveal. Barbarian feels more like a modern, gory Twilight Zone scenario. Conceptually striking and a little eerie, but limited by its own cleverness. And that kind of goes to what I say about the end of the film. I think he tried to get a little, they call it a little clever by half. I think some of the twists and turns run themselves a bit ragged, but definitely worth the watch. And yeah, Scott, take us out of here.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com. Yeah, I'm super glad that we don't plan what movies we're going to do, and just off the top of our heads, pick that one.
Yeah, we like. No wonder people think that our one guest there was like, "You guys have a horror podcast." It's like, not really. It is Halloween, and now it's November, and we're still doing fucking horror movies. So, and then we're gonna move into the horrors of war with All Quiet on the Western Front. So,
looking forward to that one too.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.